Hello everybody, it's Mr. Cartwright, back on Scratch again. I'm hoping you're all staying safe and that you're staying well. So today we're going to be having a look at how we can use Scratch to make animations. So when I press my green flag, my cat is going to walk across the screen. So in this case he's walking across a beach. And when he reaches the end of it, he's going to go somewhere else. And he's going to walk across there too. So let's have a look at it together and see if we can make our cat walk across our screen. So here I have a new Scratch project, so your screen will look exactly like this when you load up a new Scratch project. Now normally we've deleted Scratch Cat because we haven't needed him for our other projects, but today he's going to stay. So I'm going to start by having a look at my events blocks. So on the left of our screen we have all our different code blocks. I'm going to press events and I'm going to drag over when green flag clicked. That means that whenever I press this green flag at the top of our preview area or our preview pane, it will do whatever code we put under there. So let's have a go at making our cat move. So we're going to go to motion. And because I already know that I want Scratch Cat to move at the bottom of the screen, I'm just going to quickly drag my cat in my preview area down to the bottom left of the screen. Now, that is going to tell Scratch exactly where we want it to put our cat when we start our animation. So in our motion blocks, you should see go to X minus 200, and it might not be 218, it depends where you've dragged your cat, and Y of around minus 130. I'm just going to drag that under when green flag clicked, and now it's going to move my cat to the bottom of my screen, the bottom left corner, whenever I press the green flag. So try moving him somewhere else in the preview area and press the green flag. You should see that as soon as you press our green flag, you go straight back down to the bottom left corner. Now we know we want him to walk, so I'm going to drag over, move 10 steps, and I'm going to connect it under my go to. So now when I press the green flag, he's going to move to that corner and he's going to move forwards 10. Now it's going to happen so fast that we might not even be able to tell that he's moved there. That's because our computer operates so fast that sometimes we can't even see it, so we have to use some control blocks to make it wait a certain amount of time. So if you press on control, you should see some code blocks that look exactly like these. Our top one is wait 1 second. So I'm going to drag that in and I'm going to put it in between my go to and my move blocks. So now when I press the green flag, he's going to wait a second and then he's going to move. Now we know we want him to do that all the way across our screen, so we're going to use a repeat block. Now a repeat block looks slightly different to our others because it has this little bit that stretches down with another block underneath it. That's because it's a loop, and a loop means that everything that happens inside our repeat block is going to happen the amount of times we tell it to. So in this case it's going to be 10. So I'm going to drag it over under my go to, and you should see our shadow already swallows the blocks that we've put in. So he's going to go to the bottom left corner, and then 10 times he's going to wait a second and move forwards 10. So let's press our green flag and see what that looks like. So he's gone down to the bottom left corner, and then 10 times he's waited a second and moved forwards 10 steps. Now we want him to go all the way across, so let's try making our number 10 bigger. So if 10 moved him about a quarter of the way across our screen, maybe 40 will move him all the way across. Let's find out. So I think that 40 is going to move him all the way from the left to the right. Now, if you're paying extra special attention to your sprites area, you might have noticed that we have an X coordinate and a Y coordinate. So our X coordinate tells us where our cat is in terms of across our preview area. So you can see he's at 182 now. He's just reaching the end of our stage. Now our Y has stayed the same. That's because when we're moving forward steps, it moves forwards along our X axis. So just like when we've been looking at charts and graphs, our X axis is across and our Y axis is up and down. So we've been moving him across, so our X coordinate has become bigger. So if I press my green flag again, that's going to go back to minus 200 and something. Now, because it reaches the end of our stage, I know I want to change our backdrop to different backdrops that might look a little more interesting. So I'm going to go down to the bottom right of my screen and it's going to give me the option to add a new backdrop. Now I can choose any backdrop I want because all I want Scratch Cat to do is walk across it. So I might pick blue sky. Then I know I want another backdrop, so when he reaches the end of my screen, he's going to leave my blue sky and go on to whichever one I choose next. So again, I'm going to go down to the bottom right of my screen, choose a backdrop, and I'm going to pick another backdrop he might walk across. So I might have him walk across the desert next. Now, although we've only added 2 backdrops, you might notice that when we look in our backdrops area, we actually have 3. That's because our plain white screen that we saw at the start is also a backdrop. So if you press on the picture of our desert backdrop in our stages area, you should see your code disappears. That's because we're no longer on our sprite, we're on our backdrop. So if you look at the tabs now, you have our code, our backdrops, and our sounds. I'm going to press on backdrops, and I can see my desert, my blue sky, but also backdrop 1. Now this is just a single white square that it loads to show us our white background when we first start a new project. I'm just going to press on my bin icon and delete it. So now I only have my blue sky and my desert. Now I have my backdrop, so I can go back to sprite 1 in my sprite area, my cat, and I can go back to my code by pressing on the code tab at the top left of the screen. And there we go, our code has reappeared. Now, this is where it's going to get a little tricky, because we want it to change our backdrop when he reaches the end of our screen. But you might think that we're going to put it after move 10 steps. Well, if I put it there, so I'm going to go to looks, I'm going to look for next backdrop, which is about halfway down, and drag it under move 10 steps, and let's see what happens. Oh dear, that's not right, is it? That's because that's inside our loop. We want it to happen after our loop. So I'm going to drag it to the end and put it there. Now that means that it's going to move our cat along the screen 40 times, and then it's going to move to the next backdrop. So if I press my green flag to make sure I've done it right, my cat should move across the screen, and then it should switch to our desert backdrop. So he's coming up to the end of my backdrop. Let's see if I've got it right. And there we go. Now, we want our cat to go back to the other end of our screen and do all that again, don't we? So I'm going to go back into control, and this time I'm going to look for my forever block. Now again, it's going to look a lot like our repeat block. It has this little bit that stretches down. That's because everything that happens inside our forever block, so everything that it swallows, when I drag it over just like this and place it, is going to happen forever. It is never going to stop unless we press our red stop icon above our frame. So now when I press my green flag, he's going to walk across the screen and he's going to go to a new backdrop when he reaches the end of it, and he's just going to keep doing that forever. So I'm going to press my red stop icon to stop it. And now I'm going to think about when my scratch cat is moving, because so far it just looks like we're just moving a picture along. I want it to look like he is walking. So if I go to the top left, I should see costumes. When I press that tab, I can see that costume 2 shows scratch cat moving forward ever so slightly with his legs. So we can see that it looks like he's taking a step. So if I go back to my code and I go for looks, I should see next costume. So if you've only just pressed it, you should see it's right next to our green circle halfway down our screen. I'm going to put that after move 10 steps. So now every time he moves forwards 10 steps, it looks like he's taking a step. And there we go. That is exactly how we're going to make an animation of Scratch Cat moving across our screen in different areas. And because it's going forever, you can add as many backdrops as you like. So you could just go back down to the bottom right of the screen, add a bedroom maybe, and he'll move across there as well, and it will just keep going and going until you tell Scratch Cat to stop. So I hope you've enjoyed our project, everyone, and I hope you're all staying safe and that you're staying well. And I will see you next time with my next Scratch project.